Welcome back. Keith, it's great to have you on Community Champions.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I know we've got a lot of things to talk about, but first thing I'd like to do is get you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 35 years of age. I've been married 13 years to my wife, Gwen. She's a CNA at West Georgia Health System. I have two sons, Thaddeus at 18. He was a quarterback at LaGrange High.
I knew we had to get that in.
And that's how I'm known now, I guess, is by Thad being the quarterback.
Your Thad's dad, right?
I'm Thad's dad. And I have an 11-year-old, Keith. He's involved in baseball, football also.
Okay. So you're going to be another quarterback for LaGrange?
Now he wants to be a lineman or running back.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you got to have those too, right?
Yeah, he says he's too short to do the quarterback thing. So.
Yeah. Okay. I know there are a lot of things that we wanted to talk about, and we had talked about them some earlier. I want you to tell us a little bit about your Marine Corps career. I know you spent 10 years in the Marines, spent some time in the first Gulf War.
I did. Well, as a matter of fact, I spent 14 years in the military, in the Marine Corps. Spent 10 months over in the first war, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. After returning, I decided to pursue other avenues while in the military, and until they found out I had kidney problems, and they decided they was going to have to let me go. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it a lot. I had a chance to travel and see places that most people only see for vacations and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was real good. I learned a lot, learned chain of command, proper protocol, and, so it's kind of enhanced my lifestyle a whole lot.
Well, I have a great respect for him because I have a daughter who's a Marine.
Yes, sir.
And Marines stick together. If once a Marine, always a Marine,
Simplify.
Right? I love it. I know we're going to talk about your medical condition there with the kidney in a little while, but I want to talk a little bit about your volunteer efforts and some of the things you've done. I know you've done a lot of coaching, some refereeing. You were at West Georgia Christian Academy doing some coaching. So tell us a little bit about those experiences.
Well, my times of coaching in Troup County Parks, I think it's been something like 8 years, 9 years, and it's just so enjoyable to see kids to actually learn something. A lot of times kids don't get a chance to. All kids are not the same, have the same talent. They don't have the same talent, and when you get a kid that just wants to do better and show you respect, it just makes you want to do it that much more. And like I said, for 8 years, I've had a chance to coach, and said until my health, got kind of where I couldn't do it, and during the same time, I was coaching at West Georgia Christian Academy, mm-hmm. in which I kind of started the baseball program there. I was the head coach for 5 years, and it did my heart good to know that I only had graduated 8 seniors mm-hmm. during those 5 years, because we could play from like 7th grade up to 12th grade. Mm-hmm. I had 3 kids to get scholarships for baseball, in which was real good, and just to be able to work with those kids and get them to doing the things that it take to be on the next level. I mean, it was real good, and and still when I see the kids, they still recognize me as Coach Todd.
That's right.
So that's good, and I like that. Refereeing and umpiring, I've been doing it for about 9 years now, and it's not always an easy job. I've had the chance to do it high school baseball, softball, and basketball, as well as recreation baseball, softball, and basketball. And it's a whole lot of fun. You get to teach kids and let them know, hey, this needs to be done, or you can't do this. But I think it's more so the parents that give you a hard time than the kids. But it's enjoyable, and you just have to overlook some things in order to be able to do your job while you're on the field or the court. So it's been good.
And I was one of those coaches, you're talking about have to take care of the parents. I was one of those coaches that you had to take care of too. I used to seem to give them a hard time. I think one of the best experiences I ever had was when the referee got me after the game and kind of explained the program to me.
Right. As
an adult coach.
Yes, sir.
And after he got through, I was much better off. So tell us, do you remember any experience in the refereeing that sticks out in your mind when something like that happened for you?
Well, I think, being from this area and doing the high school sports in this area, I know a lot of the parents, and I had an incident where one of the parents sent a message to me by my brother and said that, well, tell your brother that he shouldn't be calling games in this area because he knows too many people. And that kind of upset me, because I don't show favoritism when I'm on the court, because I have a job to do just as well as the players have a job to do. And that kind of bothered me for a long time, to know that parents will get involved that much to send messages telling me to stay off the court. But through prayer and just keeping the faith in God, everything, it all worked out.
It's a thankless job, though, just about any way you go about it.
It really is.
Well, now, we've already alluded to your medical problem. The reason you had to get out of the Marines,
Yes,
that
sir.
you had a kidney problem.
Yes, sir.
And I know you've had an unbelievable experience here. Last fall, you received a kidney. You had a
Yes, sir.
kidney transplant. Tell us a little bit about that experience, and then we'll talk a little bit about the donor.
Well, my transplant came on November 24th of 2004. It came as a surprise because we had been on dialysis for off and on for almost 2 years. And I got a call one day from my transplant coordinator, Perry Dykes, up at Piedmont Hospital. He said, well, I think we found a kidney for you, but the donor wants to remain anonymous. And he said, well, would you take a kidney like that? I said, of course. And we kind of held the phone, and I was just thanking God for the opportunity of being able to get a kidney. And I got back on the phone, and I said, well, just whenever I can come, I'll come. He said, okay, well, I'll call you back in about a week after we do all the blood work to set up a surgery date. This was on a Tuesday. I got a call that Thursday, which was middle of the month, somewhere around the 15th. And he said, well, our surgery date is the 24th of November.
Wow.
And I was just immediately, I got real teary-eyed and just started calling everybody I could to let them know that, God had given me the opportunity to get a kidney. And we went up on the 23rd of November, spent time there that night, and the 24th, early that morning, we started the transplant.
Wow.
And I ended up staying in the hospital until December the 1st. And ended up having 4 surgeries during the time. They did a biopsy and 3 other surgeries to kind of cut away some infections and kind of fix everything so I could be well when I came home. And the worst part of it was spending holidays there, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and they let me come home just before New Year, so that was a blessing.
Also, you had to spend the playoff times for football there, right?
I sure did. I watched the
game
Dome
in the Dome.
game on TV and wasn't able to get up and holler or anything. And I had about 3 or 4 preachers in the room with me and their spouses, and they told me that, said, we'll do the hollering, you just lay there and rest. So
Yeah.
you can imagine how hard that was, especially after Thad scored and he said he dedicated that to me. So
Yeah.
that was touching. So.
Yeah. Well, now, how long had you been on the list for a kidney?
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Almost
Now,
2 years.
and what was the problem with your kidneys? Was it something you were born with? Did you have an injury, or do you even know?
We're thinking it's hereditary because my dad, passed at a kind of early age. He was 42 years old when he passed with kidney failure. I had several aunts and uncles to pass with kidney failure. So they're thinking it's inherited. And the disease is focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. And it's hard to say that too many times.
I was going to say, I don't want to try to say it.
But that's the disease they said I had in my kidneys, where the filters were clogged up and just wasn't able to perform the duties that they were supposed to.
Yeah.
So that started in '87, and they finally said I would have to have the transplant dialysis back in 2002. So.
Well, now, and I know you had a real exciting time. That anonymous donor finally decided that you could get to meet.
Yes, sir. And that was very exciting. I got a call just last week, and it was the husband that I talked to, and he said, well, I'm the husband of your donor. My name is Chuck. I'm Joe's husband. She was your kidney donor, and she would like to meet you Sunday if possible. So we worked on some times and places, and we came up with last Sunday at 1 o'clock at O'Charlie's in Noonan. And it was just like God had already knew that. He let me know who she was already, because when we passed each other in the parking lot, we waved and never met before. But it was just a great time, and we had so much in common. And I mean, they're just real sweet people. And she decided to be a donor too because her husband had a kidney transplant about 1.5 years ago. And she wanted to return the same favor for someone else. So it was a blessing to be able to meet them. And we talk now, and we're going to try and meet soon so my wife can meet her, because she just had surgery and wasn't able to meet. So we're going to schedule another date for us to get together and just maybe fire the grill up this time and just be able to be outside.
Yeah, you'll have to get her down, and we'll get her on Community Champions.
That sounds good.
I bet that would be interesting.
And I mentioned it to her. She said she would love to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now tell us a little bit about her. I think you had told me she's from upstate New York.
Yes, sir. She's from upstate New York. She's Italian, so she told me to be sure to tell everybody that. So if I start being real sassy, it was because I got some Italian blood in me now. She's a real sweet lady, and I don't think she has any kids, but she's very active in her church, and that really impressed me and touched my heart. She's very active, and she would have came down today, but she had a conference or something at the church too around this time.
Yeah.
And she's just the sweetest person you ever want to meet. She's about I don't know, probably 5'5" something. You know, she's a short lady, but big heart.
Yeah.
She has a real big heart.
Well, that's fantastic, and I know that had to have been a great meeting when you got to see somebody that had done something like that for you.
It really was.
Well, now, we've got just a couple of minutes left to go. We wanted to talk a little bit about your call into the ministry. You said, as we talked earlier, you were talking about all this seemed to lead to your call into ministry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, God called me into the ministry December the 21st of 2003, and I had my license in sermon February the 4th in 2004. And just through all of this, you know, my volunteering and the military, refereeing and umpiring, you know, God was just showing me that, hey, you have the ability to encourage people, to lead people, to guide them. And, you know, during that time when he called me to the ministry, I was in the pulpit, you know, speaking a message at the time. And God said, well, this is what I want you to do now. And it's been just it's had just a major impact on my life now to actually just to be able to talk to people and let them know that God is the reason that all of this is happening.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we give credit to a lot of things and not giving our credit to God. And just me having the faith in him through all of my sickness and the volunteer work and everything, he's starting to elevate me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've always been told that when God is getting ready to elevate you, he'll put other obstacles in your way and start having you do other things that you never thought you'd be doing. So, and I just give all the credit and the glory and the honor to God for allowing me to go through the things that I've been through.
Well, you know, that's just fantastic, the whole story. You are truly a community champion. I've seen you doing the things you do well, the coaching, the refereeing, and all those type things. And I'm just so glad to have you on here, glad this has been such a success story.
Thank you.
And we'll follow it, and maybe we can get that donor and have her on sometime in the future.
That'd be great.
I've been talking with Keith Todd. Keith is a community volunteer and a minister at St. Paul Baptist Church.